A to the K.
To the K.
To the K.
Coming at you quicker than an injury to a women's tag team champion, it's the Rapid Roundup. Kicking off with SmackDown this week, Charlotte Flair and Asuka opening the show. Bayley and Io Sky get involved and the match ends up in a DQ with Damage Control getting the spoils. Big fan of Io being the champ, not too sure where she goes from here. But I am excited to see, in fact, where she does go. We follow this up with AJ Styles and Karrion Kross in what was undoubtedly a bit of a dud of a match. Quite a few botches throughout, and the chemistry wasn't really there on this one. AJ does get the win, and once again, Karrion's WWE career looks like it's tick-tocking away, unfortunately for him. Following on from this, speaking of future endeavours, Top Dollar takes on LA Knight, with Knight making short work of him. We also got to see Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, and they say the sky is the limit. Just think what they can do together. So definitely a new faction is going to be forming here, and it does excite me. Street Profits being a little bit stale for a while now, and Bobby does need a little bit of charisma, in my opinion, to kind of reach that next level. So I think it could be a great pairing, and I'm excited to see what happens with them. So following on from this, Edge returns. He states he wants a match one-on-one with somebody he's never faced before, the Celtic Warrior himself, Sheamus. He credits Sheamus for being the reason why he's back in the ring. Sheamus does come out and they share embarrassing photos and videos and also some heartfelt stories, and they agree to fight next week in Edge's hometown of Toronto. And look, not too sure if this is going to be his retirement match. It's going to be a hell of a shame if so, but if it is, at least he can do it on his own terms this time, and yeah, it'll be a shame not to see Edge around. Austin Theory is set to take on Santos Escobar, but he takes out Escobar ahead of the match. Escobar does make it to the ring, but on his way there, he gets attacked yet again by Austin Theory. As a result, Rey Mysterio takes his place and ends up defeating Theory to become the new United States champion. Like, was this always the plan? Was Rey originally going to beat Santos before the injury in their match? Who knows? But, you know, the end game, is this going to be Santos and the LWO turning on Rey Mysterio? I'm not too sure, but I do feel a bit for Austin Theory. I feel like he's getting a lot of stick he doesn't really deserve. But yeah, you know, Rey Mysterio is a champion once again. So let's see what happens off the back of that. And closing out the night, Jimmy Uso explains his actions from SummerSlam. He says what he did had nothing to do with Roman Reigns. Roman asks him, what does he want? Does he want to be the new right-hand man? Does he want to be main event Jimmy Uso? But before he can answer, Jey comes down to confront him. Jimmy says he did what he did because he loves him. He didn't want him to become Roman, and he was afraid. He tells Jey to take a shot, but he can't do it, and Jimmy leaves. Roman tells Jey to acknowledge him, but instead, Jey hits him with a super kick. Jey takes out the pair of them, Roman and Solo, but he tells Jimmy to hang fire. They go to hug, but instead Jey super kicks him as well, and he announces he's done. He's done with the Bloodline, with SmackDown, and with WWE. He is out. So, obviously not really. I feel like we shouldn't have to explain this, but everyone, you know, who thinks he's going to turn up at All In or something, it's not real. He's not really out. We are going to clearly get something with the Usos at some point. Whether they're doing this to kind of extend that a little bit, I think there's rumours about dragging it out to WrestleMania. Hopefully not. But yeah, let's see how long they can drag this out, and let's see what's next for the whole Bloodline stuff. Kicking over to Monday Night Raw, Judgement Day start off the show, but they're interrupted by JD McDonough. He says he's got a message from Finn, not to worry about their friendship, instead worry about Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. Zayn himself comes down, brawls with JD, and we then get a match between the two. Partway through the match though, Finn Balor comes down and basically tries to cause a distraction, but Zayn ultimately gets the win. So if Finn was there, why is JD delivering a message on Finn's behalf? Doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, bit of a theme for Raw really this week, and yeah, strange way to open the show. Following on from this, something I really enjoyed, Gunther addresses the new number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, Chad Gable. He says he's achieved more in 1 year than Gable has in his entire career. Gable says that he couldn't last 5 minutes. Gunther said he couldn't last 5 minutes with him, but he did. It's Gunther who's on the clock this time. He's just weeks away from setting the new record of the longest reigning champ, and there's something standing in his way. And it's the guy who's been waiting for that opportunity for 10 years. It's Chad Gable. We then get Gable versus Giovanni Vinci. Gable gets the win after that, awesome rolling German that he does. And Otis gloats in the face of Gunther, who then makes a challenge to Otis and goes on to defeat him with a powerbomb. So, yeah, after the match, Gable gets in the ring, German suplexes Gunther, and the whole of Imperium retreat. So Gable looking really impressive. It's where he belongs. I'm glad he's getting this push. Don't think he's going to dethrone Gunther, but I'm made up for Gable, how far he's come since Shorty G. Next, Riddle is backstage looking for a tag team partner to help him face Viking Raiders. So he approaches Drew McIntyre. Drew doesn't say yes. He says if Riddle can't find someone else, then he'll consider it. Lo and behold, Riddle can't find anyone else, and so Drew ends up being that partner. Interesting response. It wasn't the typical babyface of yes, we'll do it. He was kind of hesitant, so who knows what that means. But obviously Drew cleans house, gets the win, and backstage they are approached by New Day. And also, just a funny note is Riddle has decided to call them the Glasbros instead of the Glasgows, which is hilarious. But New Day challenged him to a match next week, saying whoever wins that match will be the number one contenders. So not sure how that works, but we will see. We also get Seth Rollins in the ring with Shinsuke Nakamura. Cole is interviewing him, is asking exactly why did he do what he did to Rollins last week, but Seth cuts him off. He says, if Shinsuke wanted a shot, all he had to do was ask. People are asking why did Shinsuke do it, why? Seth doesn't really care, he just wants to get even. Rollins says the best way to get what he wants is to give Shinsuke what he wants, and basically accepts his challenge and says, Shinsuke, you name the time and the place, but Shinsuke kicks him right in the face. We also get Trish Stratus taking on Becky Lynch in a battle of the goats. But yeah, bit of a damn squib. This one ends in a double count out, but they end up going around the whole arena, fighting everywhere, even in the merch stand. Zoe Stark gets involved, who obviously was meant to be banned from ringside, but technically, since it was taking place backstage, she was not at ringside. But yeah, they basically leave Becky kind of down and out. Adam Pearce confronts them and says the next time they do this, it's going to be in a steel cage. So who knows when that's going to be. Main event, Cody and Finn Balor, once again, Judgment Day involved throughout the match. Dominic slides a chair to Finn Balor, but the ref sees it. As he tries to dispose of it, Rhea Ripley causes a bit of a distraction. Priest slides in the Money in the Bank briefcase, but it goes right between Finn's legs, straight to Cody, who hits Balor with it, and then gets a crossroads for the win. After the match, Judgment Day beat down Cody. Sami Zayn tries to make the save, but he's beaten down as well by Judgment Day, and they stand tall in the ring, seemingly still on the same page despite all of these mishaps, if you will. Moseying on over to AEW with Dynamite, the Jericho Appreciation Society kicking off the show. The JAS just can't understand why Jericho never chooses them when they always choose him. Garcia says he's out, Hager's out, Anna and Ty are out, Cool Hand and Daddy Magic are out as well. That only leaves Sammy. Sammy says he's had his back from the very beginning. He's not out, but if Jericho changes his attitude, he'll be there for him. We also get to see Don Callis apologising to Jericho. Jericho says that he's got an answer, whether he's going to join Don and the Callis family, and he's going to announce it next week. But yeah, if after all this Jericho decides to stay with the JAS, it's going to be ridiculous, but something I can absolutely see them doing. So yeah, let's just hope this hasn't all been for nothing. We then get the Young Bucks taking on the Hardy Boys in the first match of the evening. Hell of a way to kick off the show. Two of the best tag teams of all time to ever do it. Young Bucks come out on top, and after the match, the team embrace, which was lovely to see. The Bucks call out FTR, and the match is made for All In, Young Bucks versus FTR, and that will be an absolute banger, I am sure. We then get Jack Perry taking on Rob Van Dam, of course, for the FTW Championship. RVD does have the match won at one point, but the official is down. Perry hits a low blow and a chair shot for the win and retains the FTW title. RVD looked alright here, to be fair, but I hope it's just a one-off. No offense to him, but it doesn't really need to be there right now. And yeah, I'm not too sure where they're going with this whole Jack Perry thing. Still very fresh, still very raw. But yeah, I'm not too sure they know where they're going, but not in a good way, if that makes sense. We will see what happens with him. We then get a lot more MJF and Adam Cole. You can't have too much of that on a weekly basis. So they go to a trampoline park this week. MJF proceeds to pelt a bunch of kids with dodgeballs, which is just beautiful. They also come out to the ring. Cole says he's going to beat MJF for his belt. MJF asks if he wants to have a promo battle, but Cole says he wants to be serious. He wants to be tag team champs, and what they're going to do, they're going to challenge Aussie Open All in 0 Hour for the Ring of Honor tag titles. Apparently it's the only Ring of Honor title that Adam Cole's never won. So yeah, we're gonna get that, but Roderick Strong interrupts. MJF says he's sick of his jealous ex-girlfriend shtick, calls him a bland bitch and tells him to leave. Strong gets upset, says Adam Cole was never really his friend and he's consoled by the kingdom. So, something's definitely going to happen here with all this stuff. They've had Roderick Strong in a neck brace coming out and being sad and stuff every single week. So could Cole be the one that turns heel on MJF? Maybe forming a new undisputed era with the kingdom, who knows? But yeah, lots of twists and turns in this one. I'm excited to see how it plays out at All In. And we also get Moxley and Claudio taking on the Lucha Bros in what was a really fun match. The BCC ultimately coming out the victors. After the match, Claudio steals Penta's mask and he teases something with Pac at All In. He says Pac is injured and won't be able to make the event. Is it all a lie? I'm not too sure. You've got to imagine if Pac can make the event that he will be there, considering it's on his home soil. We also get an interview with Kenny Omega. He says that he's going to sit down with JR next week to address his future. He's going to address Don Callis, Takeshita, and he's going to address his status for All In. And we also get Swerve and AR Fox versus Darby and Sting. That match is made for All In as well. Main event time, Hikaru Shida defends her newly won women's title against Anna Jay. Bit of a weird moment at the end, maybe a bit of a botch where Cool Hand gets involved during the pin, but Shida still gets a 3 count. I didn't really understand what was kind of happening there. But look, nice to see how far Anna's come. She's doing really, really well. And I can definitely see a title in her future. And it's nice to see Shida as champ in front of the fans as well, obviously having the belt during COVID. So nice to see her get that time. Over to Rampage, Darby Allin and Brian Cage kicking off the show. I felt like a bit of an old school return for AEW on this one. It's kind of the matches we saw early on. Darby got the win, but he's attacked by Luchasaurus after the match. The International Championship was on the line. Johnny TV against Orange Cassidy. QTV were banished from ringside early on, pretty early by the referee. And after a pretty fun match, Cassidy retains. Hell of a streak he's on at the minute. But after the match, Wheeler Yuta at the BCC come out. Yuta says he wants the international title next week. So let's see how that plays out. Aussie Open defeated the Outrunners. After the match, they accept the challenge laid down by MJF and Adam Cole. So the Ring of Honor tag titles will be on the line at 0 Hour at All In. Then main event, Saraya takes on Sky Blue for a spot in the Fatal 4-Way match at All In. Good match, nice chemistry between the two. Outcasts get involved as they always do, spraying Sky in the face with that mist and basically allow Saraya to get the win. So she's going to challenge for that title on her home soil. So can't wait to see her involvement in that. Lastly, we move over to Collision. Ricky Starks kicking off the show this week to explain his actions, beating down a 70-year-old Ricky Steamboat. He says Ricky cost him the match, so he had to do what he had to do. The blood is on the hands of CM Punk. But as a result of what he did, Ricky Starks is suspended from wrestling for 30 days. Starks says he's just got his manager's license, so he's going to be here on Collision every week. You don't have to like him, but you will respect him. So a pretty good promo there from Starks. The Acclaim take on the Iron Savages. Bowen's carrying around Billy's boots. He goes to do a Scissor Me Daddy, remembers Billy's not there. It's quite a sad, emotional time. But Acclaim do get the win. After the match, Max Caster says the best two-man team in the sport has returned. The Acclaimed are back, and they ask the crowd to make some noise and say goodbye to Billy Gunn. Is it the last we've seen of Billy? I don't think so. We will see how this all unfolds, but I'm sure we'll see Billy back at least one more time. We then get Mercedes Martinez and Diamante stealing a win over Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, which is a bit of a shock. We also heard from somewhat unhinged Toni Storm, who says that she's been feeling pretty depressed since losing the belt, but she feels a bit better now that she's got a title match at All In. With Saraya in the match, it means that no funny business is going to take place and it's going to be a fair fight. Is that going to be the case, or will the stable members, can they coexist? We then get Christian Cage coming out insulting the inbred crowd of Greensboro, North Carolina. He says he's far superior to Ric Flair, any other wrestler from North Carolina, and he dares Darby to come after the TNT title. And who comes out? Arn Anderson and his son Brock, of course. So we get an impromptu match between Brock and Luchasaurus, and no surprises here, Luchasaurus gets the win. After the match, though, Darby comes down, clears house, and challenges Christian next week on Collision, and then challenges for the TNT title at All Out, not All In, important distinction to make. Also, Samoa Joe was in action, made short work of Andrew Everett. After the match, he says the real words champion CM Punk is acting like a real bitch, and he wants Punk at Wembley. So the card is shaping up rather nice. Powerhouse Hobbs comes out next. He says the next chapter in the book of Hobbs is titled Redemption. So what does he do? He challenges the Redeemer himself, Miro, at All Out again. Miro comes out but is attacked by QTV. So we're starting to see both these cards shape up now, and I think this one could be awesome. Hobbs and Miro, big meaty men slapping meat, and we all know how much I love that. Which takes us to the main event. We get a World Trios title match. House of Black taking on CMFTR with Jim Ross returning for commentary. A couple of nice moments in this, including a little bit of a sit-off. I don't just mean they were chilling. Opposite of a standoff, I guess, with Punk and Malachi. But towards the end of the match, Samoa Joe appears, chokes out CM Punk, seemingly confirming the match will take place at All In. So Julia Hart ends up getting a distraction at ringside. Brody King hits the lariats for the win, and House of Black retain. Punk and Joe are All In. I don't know what's going to be in store for Punk at All Out, obviously in his hometown of Chicago. But yeah, everything is shaping up rather nicely indeed. But there we have it, another rapid roundup where we condense 10 hours of wrestling into about, 16 minutes. Let us know, what do you think of these shows this week? Let us know in the comments, and we will catch you on the next one.